All right.
Hey, so should we do Wesley? Should we do the frozen hand? What do you think? Just to get it started. That's always
Oh
fun.
yeah. Yeah, we can do the old frozen hand. That's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
but you move. You can't move. You gotta go. Of course, this will play well on the audio when everybody's going, "Oh, hey, are you there? What happened?" Oh, he's still doing it. Oh, we're not right, but that's okay.
That's good
Uh,
stuff.
so how you been, brother? Things good?
I have been better, and only I say that from the past because for the very first time in over 4 years, as you well know, I had to cancel. Oddly enough, with you, on a rack and stack day when I was sick 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks
Yep,
ago,
yep.
whatever that was. And I got to tell you, Randy, it about took me out.
Yeah,
I don't get down and out very often, but the day that you and I had to cancel and I say you and the day I had to cancel, I actually was sitting in the doctor's office parking lot, and I honestly thought about sleeping in
really.
the parking lot. It was that rough, and I got home
Wow.
and I thought, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a full broadcast with Randu, on this.
Yeah.
I mean, I was that bad off, and when I got the okay from you that it was okay to go ahead and cancel, I went to bed and slept for 7 hours.
Wow.
So
Man.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was
that's
rough.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're better. I mean, those things happen. Hey, that was fine. I mean, I didn't bother me a bit outside of just my brother's not feeling well. But I mean, hey, those things happen, man. So, but that's why we're on today, which normally we do these sort of things together occasionally just because, or at holiday time to thank all of our amazing friends and people out there. But we uh, we kind of had a snafu in the schedule and didn't have anybody scheduled for today. So why not do it ourselves? We'll wing it together, right?
That's right. Why not do it ourselves? I'm going to hold the camera with my hand because for whatever reason, things are starting to have technical difficulties, which being the producer director, that doesn't work very good.
That's true. I guess we got nobody to fix it now because you're co-hosting today, so there's
That's
no.
right. I'm sitting here holding the camera with the one hand and talking with the other. But it's kind of interesting because you'd asked me in the pre-show, what we wanted to talk about. We're both doing books. We're both in the process of doing a co-book with Ben Gay, and then of course, we have the building wind stuff, that we're doing, which is going to be another book in itself, series at some point. And, between that and just all the other stuff that's going on, we were talking to the last guest about, AI. And I have to tell you, Randy, I mean, you said that did you say you named yours Chester? Is that right?
I named it Chester. Yes.
Okay. I've stuck with just talking to it. I don't think I give it a name, but I go on there and talk to AI all day long, and I think the thing that people need to realize is that it can be as simple as going through and finding something fun like a kooky little image or having it create a song or whatever the case may be. But you can also go through and do some just insanely complex stuff as well. And the thing that people need to realize is that you still need to go through and not use it as is.
Right.
Because if you use it as is, there are mistakes. I mean, it's not infallible yet.
Right.
So I think that going through and using AI in a way that is a muse or a kind of inspiration is perfectly okay. But don't think that you're gonna just let it do everything because it's gonna mess something up. I mean, I still can't get it to realize that my name is Wes and not West.
Wes.
Somehow or another that it comes through as West Wyatt more than it comes through as anything. Maybe it's because Wyatt is Wyatt Earp and it thinks of the old West. Who
Wild
knows?
Wild West. That's it. Probably.
But
Yeah.
maybe. But yeah. So how are you going through and using it for your book?
I use it for generating ideas. I use it a lot for writing blogs. I don't let it write the blog. I will write the blog, but I've done it enough and and I talk to it enough that it really learns to write in my voice for the most part. And so I will write what I want to write. Then I'll put it in there and ask it to clean it up, to fix grammar. To I didn't like second paragraph. I just didn't like the way it read. Can you make that a little better? Um, and then sometimes when I get it where I like it and Randyize it, um, then I'll sometimes depending on the on where I'm going to post it, I'll ask it to make it more LinkedIn professional, right? Which is a little more obviously, as we know, a professional platform. If I'm going to put it on Facebook or Instagram or work it into a TikTok, I mean, I've had it. I've said, okay, Chester, let's get goofy, crazy, witty, and stupid, and let's make something out of this, keeping the point, but for TikTok. And I mean, and it'll give me some of the weirdest, goofy stuff. I still may say, that's a little too much for even me, but that's where I use it a lot. Or a good example, a couple of weeks ago, I had a blog I had committed to myself to do on Monday mornings. I had a lot of stuff on the weekend. I'm in a Uber at 4:30 in the morning, headed out to the airport. All of a sudden, it clicked. I didn't do this stupid blog. Now, if that's the case normally, without the help of Chester, um, I probably wouldn't have got it out. But I literally started typing, didn't talk in Uber cars, so the guy didn't think I was weird. But you know what I wanted to give me some ideas first, because I'm in a blank. It's 4:30, right? It gives me some ideas. I said, nope, nope, nope. Yeah, I like that one. Let's expand on it. We did a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden I had a 200-word blog. I went in and changed some things, had it, rewrote it together 2 or 3 times. Um, and I said, make me a now. I like this. Make me a drawing to go with this that depicts this message. 15, 20 minutes after that, halfway to the airport, and I'm starting to post it already. And that's having not had an idea what I even wanted to say because I did completely forgot about it. So that's where I find, from a time standpoint, and as we was talking before you and I jumped on with Gerard Norman, and one of the many things he does is he's an AI guru, and one of the things we talked about is how you take the more it gets to know you, right? And that's the key, is to use it every day. And Wes, and we've talked about this too. It's on my home screen of my phone on the front page. I go there instead of Google. I ask
Well,
it everything.
yeah, and the thing about it is it's starting to give you where it got its sources.
Mm,
Perplexity was doing that, several months ago. It would give where it found the information, but now ChatGPT is doing that. Where it's actually going through and saying, you found it here. So, as an example, one of the posts I put out today, Randy, was talking about how Hugh Hornsby had introduced Gerard to us.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and the benefits of going through and doing networking and engaging with people online, how and I put who knows who we'll meet next,
Right.
kind of a thing. So when you're going through with ChatGPT or Perplexity or whichever AI that you're using, if they provide where they got the source from, the source information, I highly suggest that you go and click on it, because what you're going to do is you're going to kind of open up a rabbit hole as to why you looked at that. So, as an example, if it says something to the effect of um, 98% of builders are men, okay, and you go and you look and you see that it got it from buildinginfo.com, okay, and you click on it, and then it's an article on the demographics of builders, uh, age, the most of them are in Texas. I'm using this
Right.
as complete off my head. These aren't real stats, guys, but you can go through and then learn something that you never learned before, which you even though you were asking about one aspect of it, you may get all the aspects and learn something brand new that you never even knew you were going to learn. And we did that by, I don't remember who introduced us to Hugh, but somebody introduced us to Hugh, who introduced us
Yes.
to Gerard.
Yep.
And Gerard is going to end up introducing us to somebody that we didn't even know we were even remotely going to know, before that.
Right.
So that's the going through and using AI for that reason is just as important as writing context. It opens your mind to several other aspects of things that you may have never even thought of.
Exactly. And it's such a time saver, and we could all use more time, whether it's in our work world or to have more time to spend doing other things we want to do. We was talking off air about and we talked on here about how we're writing books, and I'm getting right down to the end with my first book. Um, Shameless plug, but my journey to hybrid, and so my editor says you use some stats here, but we need to put those in a bibliography. We got to be able to substantiate that source, right? Well, I had a source because I got it from somewhere, right? Some statistics, but I had two choices: dig back through tons of notes and find those sources, which I could have, but it might have took an hour of digging. And where did I put them? And did I write them down or did I put them in my phone? But instead, I just asked Chester, my Chat GTP friend. I said, I use these following statistics in my book. Please tell me where I got these from. Instantly, I got everything I needed and I said, put it in bibliography. Whoo, easy for me
That's
to
easy
say.
for you to say.
Form, right? And I was like, boom, there, print, send, or copy, paste, send it to my editor, right? 15 minutes maybe of screwing around versus 2 or 3 hours probably if I had to go trying to dig all that up, right? So that's just one small example, right, of the time savings that it can do for you. And you and I write a lot of stuff. I don't write articles 100% AI at all ever. I don't write blogs 100% AI. Didn't write my book, or I'm not finishing my book by any means. But I will let it correct grammar. I will let it uh, give me a better way of saying something using my voice. And the more you use it, right, the more it understands your voice. And um, and you can. And what I love is you can adjust it. Do I want to be a little more witty or quirky there, or do I want to be very stoic there, right? And it can still keep it in your voice, and it's still what you would say, but it just fixes that paragraph or fixes that 3 paragraphs that I just butchered because I wasn't feeling it. I was doing it at 12:30 at night. I was trying to get it done because I just wanted it done, right? And didn't like it 3 days later. Ask it to fix it. Doesn't write it, just fixes. And that's what I use it for. Um, it's a lifesaver, that kind of stuff.
Well, and we've been doing this for a long time, Randy. I mean, think about when you get introduced on stage. I've literally been with you and heard somebody say, our next guest is going to be, coming to you from, Source One Marketing, and I buy from Randy and Building Wins, and he's done this, he's done that. I met him here. I've done this, and when you're done, you literally pull out a $20 bill and go, thanks for reading all that, and then you usually say something to the effect of, well, I was going to introduce myself, but I couldn't do it better than what they just did.
Right,
Well,
right.
that's kind of what AI does, because you'll come up with an idea that says, what you're wanting to say, and then you'll put it in there, and it will pop out this thing that you literally, and not because it's on the screen, but because you couldn't get it out of your head, but it does. And somehow or another it does it. And I'll tell you, Randy, I do think that starts to think for you. And I don't have a name for mine, but I will tell you what it does do. When it's done talking to me, it will tell me to have a dynamite day.
I
Now, where
love
do
it.
you think it got that?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So, and I did not tell it to say that. I
Wow.
didn't say, call me, whatever, some, kingly name or something. I mean, I don't tell it to do any of that stuff. And
Hmm.
it'll pop out, have a dynamite day, or it'll say, keeping with market you first ideas, which is the book I'm writing.
Hmm.
It will come through and say, aligning with the whole concept of have a dynamite day or whatever the case may be, and it then provides me with the stuff that are related to that, and I'll think, okay, yeah, that is something I want to talk about, and then I'll expand on that, and so it is something that I think that if you're not using it outside of the stuff that I talked about, creating funny little songs or, making yourself look like a Simpsons character or whatever the case may be, all that stuff is great and there's nothing wrong with it. But once you learn the custom GPTs and the actions and the commands
Mm-hmm.
and the tasks and I'll tell you something, Randy. I'll give you a tip that Andrew Lane, who is a guy that they call Design Hacker, he told me about that is absolutely great for AI, and that is when you go through and you get an answer from AI, you can say to AI, "That is a great first tier answer." But I'm not looking for a first tier answer. Give me a second tier answer and really get deep. And then when it gives you that, you can say, you know what, that second tier is awesome. But I want something that is next level, third tier, the best info that could ever be provided on this task. And it will give you something on that next time and time after that. If you keep asking, it will give you better and better and better information. And I don't think people know to do that.
They don't.
You know,
Go ahead. I'm going to look up something because I saved a prompt that I use. I'm gonna go ahead. You can go ahead and continue, but I'm going to look this up so I get
So
it right.
I'll give you another one. Gail that does your copywriting.
Mm-hmm.
She is a professional editor. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and if you ask ChatGPT to go through and give you ideas about XYZ, that's great. But if you say to it, acting as a uh, um, editing professional such as Gail, uh, please do this. And it what it'll do is in 10 seconds or less, it'll go through and research Gail, find out what it is that she does, and then combined with what she does and the fact that you said to act as a book editor, it will
Yep.
take those two things and combine out something that is as good as when peanut butter walked around the corner and got dunked in with chocolate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's amazing. So
It
what's
is.
that prompt you found?
Well, the one I didn't find it right away, but basically, I'll stick in there. Okay, that's good. Now keep asking me questions until you are 95% sure that you've got every question answered that you need to answer for me to give me the best response. And then when it gets done with that, I'll say, that's really, it's kind of what you're talking about. It says really, really good. Now let's write this so that I'm coming from a one percenter in my industry.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
right. Same
That
thing. Tiers, right? Same
Yep, that
idea.
and that is something, Randy, that a good friend of mine, Christina Peterson, she talks about it's not AI that's going to take your job; it's somebody that knows how to use AI.
Right.
Okay, and so there's a lot of people, and I don't mean to undermine Gerard when I say this, but there are no real experts in AI yet. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who are really good at it. Don't get me wrong, but AI is so new in the
Mm-hmm.
grand scheme of things that it hasn't been around long enough to become an expert. And the other
Right.
thing is, it changes so much by the day that to say that you're an expert on it, an expert is somebody that knows every bit of AI or
Right.
whatever thing is that they're talking about inside and out. And I promise you, there's not an expert in AI.
No.
And the reason why is because AI evolves, but by the day. I think I told you this stat a long time ago, Randy, and one of these days I'll have it to where I can bring it up and tell you the exact. But in a roundabout way, and the dates may not be right. 14 years ago, I went and saw Gary V,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went and saw him, and it may not have been 14, I may have the dates wrong on that too. Maybe it was 7 years ago, but whatever amount of time, when I saw him, he said that from the beginning of time, literally, I'm talking Big Bang to whatever day it was, that day, 7/14, whatever, years ago. He said that that day that we are reproducing everything that's ever been created in text, audio, and video, every day up till that day, if that makes any sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, every single bit of all those medias that have ever been created, we are making daily, uh, back
Yeah,
then. So,
got it.
okay,
I mean,
so what you need to know is that whether it was 7 or 14 years ago, and I think it was 7, the thing that you need to know about that is that means that now AI wasn't even around then, at least not
right.
in the way that we use it now. So, what do you think we're producing today?
Oh, exactly.
I bet it's every hour,
Right.
or something, So, and exponentially that grows every day, because if we're creating that much more, then that means that the next day we're creating that much more. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, so there is an absolute onslaught of information being thrown at us, daily, and created, that, to the point that when AI tries to catch up, I mean, they'll say, "Oh, this is only good up until January of 2025." This
Yeah.
information, but up until January 2025, that's a lot of information.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
so
Yes,
it's so crazy.
it
The
is.
stuff that's available to us, and I got to tell you, I'll give you another Gary V that I don't even know when he put it out. I may have been seeing something from years ago, but he said something that really hit home with me, and it's something that, your book, and the reason that you did your book, and I'll give you a little shameless plug here, Randy. The people that follow us probably know this because you've said it, dozens and dozens of times. But the reason that you got started in, being hybrid, and your journey to hybrid, was during COVID, when you couldn't go out and shake hands and kiss babies.
Right.
So you needed a place to be able to still talk to your followers and your contacts, but didn't, really have a hardcore online presence. So, if you think about that, as being the way that you were able to do it, then think about what Gary Vee said, a while back. And I don't know when it was that he said this, but he said that we have an opportunity right now that people just don't realize, and that is these things that we have in our hand, these phones. We're able to go through and have, our own radio station, our
Hmm.
own recording studio, our own newspaper, our own magazines, our own everything, and we're doing it, virtually for free.
Right.
Okay, and when the new medium comes, whatever that new medium is, we're not going to have that any longer. We're in a era, if you will, where these things that we can hold in our hands are essentially like, it's everything that you've ever wanted. It's calculators. It's, I still have a calculator on my desk.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why, I'm sure that the one on the phone is much better, but there's something about having a calculator in my hand,
Yeah.
and actually figuring something out. And so, but I have that. I have my camera. I've got my, it's funny, Randy, you mentioned going to Chat GPT to back up your bibliography. What would have happened if, Gail would have said that to you when you were, in high school? I can tell you what would have happened, because I went through, of course, with you. You'd have to go back and look at, cave drawings and
I knew
and
it.
and and
There
all
we go.
sorts of stuff. With
Yeah.
me,
It was slabs. It was slabs that
yeah,
they
with
chipped. Yeah.
me, I would have had to go with a pocket full of nickels and go to the microfiche at the library, and
Yep.
print out pages 5 cents at a time off
Yep.
microfiche.
Yep.
I guarantee you that most of the people watching this have no idea what a microfiche or a Dewey Decimal is. But
No,
that
of
was
course not.
my AI back in
Yes.
high
Yes.
school.
Oh,
You
I
know,
remember those. And I remember going to the library, and if you wanted to find a book, which you go to those little banks of drawers, and you find the right drawer, and you go through and you flip through the card until you
yeah,
find the
the
right
Dewey
book.
Decimal.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It was
Yeah,
just
I
like,
mean,
wow,
kids don't know what that is
they know
these
what that
days. I
is.
mean,
Yep.
and they don't even have a clue what it's like. To be able to literally go to heck, they don't even have to go to their phone. They can ask their phone. Hey,
Yeah,
blah
just
blah
ask
blah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, and it's like we're in Star Trek. We got
Hmm.
those little I don't know, the transponders or whatever they
Yeah,
called
yeah.
them, that they would talk into. And so I'm just, at odds sometimes, the things that we have at our disposal.
Right. Well, and a couple things that come to mind. A friend of ours, Kevin Fox, who is on with Foxworks out of Ohio, someplace. I think he's in the Columbus area, if I'm not mistaken. But
Hmm.
uh, he was at the National Frame Builders Association conference a few weeks ago, and I had the honor of introducing his talk. And I remember one of the very first things he said, and we said this to Gerard a little bit ago when we was talking to him. He said, a lot of people say AI is the future. Then he stopped and looked at everybody. He says, it's not the future. It's now. He said, and it's like, to your point, he says, and as a matter of fact, and he said it way better than I'm saying it, but by the time we get done with this hour talk, we've already made major advancements from anything I might be talking about. Right? That's how fast this is moving. And that's why I think it's important to anybody that's not doing it. Uh, right now, we're still very elementary in it yet. You better get in and you better start figuring out the basics because all of a sudden, I would say 5 years from now, but that's going to be way too late probably. Even though it'll probably be self teaching it to some degree because it's so smart. But with that said, my point is you're going to be like a kindergartner that's never even had basic math yet, trying to take college calculus.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to sit there. I don't even know where to start with this whole AI thing. So you better at least get some basic, because there's a lot of people probably go, it's about the prompts, right? We would say, yeah, the prompts important. It's garbage in, garbage out. We used to talk about with computers, right? The prompts is so important. We talked about ask me till you're 95% sure. All those things. If you don't use AI at all, right now you're going, what is Wes and Randy talking about? What do
Yeah.
you mean, right? You eggheads, right? So I think it's important to because like you said earlier, um, it's don't even have to like it. We've talked about this before with using virtual and using social media. Um, don't have to like it. You can hate it. You can hate everything about it. Wish it never existed. Think it's going to destroy mankind. Whatever you want to think, but it's not going away. And like you said, he who's involved will survive, and not only survive but prosper. The ones that want to stay too old school for too long, I'm sorry, you're going to get left behind a large degree, right?
Well, and the
And
other thing too, Randy, that you got to think about is, it's kind of like having a website or I think I've told you this story before, but when I lived in Florida, I had uh, um, local insurance agent, that
mm-hmm.
was from up here. And right before I moved to Florida, I went in and I told him he needed a website. And he leaned back in his chair and he goes, "That's a fad, kid." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And I went to Florida for 4 years. I come back, and when I went visiting him, when I walked up, his website was literally stenciled across his window. And I walked in and I said, "Hey, Earl," I said, "I see your website's on the window." And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "What about it?" I said, "I thought that was just a fad." And he laughed. He said, "Boy," he goes, I had that one all wrong, didn't I?"
Yeah,
And I said, "Yeah, you had one, just later than everybody else." I said, "But you would have been, at the forefront if you'd have listened to me."
right.
And the same thing with social media, Facebook, Randy, I'm not going to get on with my back and try to do TikTok dances. But you can do informational TikToks, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do, facts of the day, or, like something engaging that does work. And if you have somebody say, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not on TikTok." Well, what you got to realize is, yeah, you may not be interested in a website. You may not be interested in TikTok. You may not have an eye for Pinterest or, working with X. You might hate Elon. You might, think that Bill Gates is the devil. You might, think that Mark Zuckerberg is the greatest thing or the worst thing. All that stuff is your opinion, But the thing that you need to know is that if your people are there, it's the same reason why you and I aren't talking politics and religion right
Right.
now. We have fans on both sides of the politics, and we have fans that have every imaginable kind of um I guess what would it be called, a every kind of religious belief.
Hmm.
So for us to get in and say that we support or condemn any of them would
Right.
be just business suicide.
Right.
So same thing happens with social media and websites or presence of any kind, and that is, you say, well, I have no interest in that. Well, that's great, but your customers do.
Right.
And if you don't have a presence on that and they go to it, they're going to find the person that does have an interest in it, like them, and you're going to be out of the water.
Yes.
And by the way, you might have the best product,
Hmm.
but if someone doesn't know it, it doesn't matter. You could build a mall that's got, marble floors, personal shoppers, crystal chandeliers, and free, espresso when you walk in. But if you put it in the Sahara Desert and you don't give anybody any directions on how to get to it, you're never going to have any business.
Right.
So it's something that I think if people can get past the mindset of what serves them versus what serves their customers,
Hmm.
that's where the rubber kind of meets the road. And boy, I gotta tell you, with the stuff that's available to us now, Randy, just in the 4 years that we've known each other, starting off in a mastermind. I mean, think of all the things that we have met, or people that we've met, and things that we've learned that we would have never learned, had we not started this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that
Yeah.
right there is I mean,
It,
hundreds of people, and I can't tell you the information that we've learned. I mean, whether
right.
it be books that authors have sent us, talks that we've been, made privy to because we had them on our show, builders, that we had no idea were out doing what they were doing. I mean, I can remember having and you're going to have to provide the name because I forget the young lady and her husband that have the barn dominiums in
Oh,
Texas.
yeah. Stacy Lynn and Oliver Bell, the
Yeah,
Barndominium Company.
Stacy.
I just talked
When
to them the other day again.
yeah, and when she was first on, barn dominiums were a fairly new thing in our world.
Hmm.
Now you can't swing a post without hitting one.
Right.
So it's just it's one of those things that when you're looking for a certain kind of car, you see that car everywhere. And now when I see barn dominiums, I think of all these people that we've had on the show, people that we haven't even had yet that we'll interview down the road, where it's going to go. I mean, before barn dominiums kind of look like barns. Now they
Hmm.
look like houses.
Right.
So what's next? I mean,
Right. Exactly.
is there going to be a, barn dominium school? I don't know. I
Well,
mean, seriously, I mean,
it is
what's coming next?
exactly, and something you hit on earlier, back in the day, and with your insurance agent and the whole website thing. Um, I was talking to a group of builders at a trade show 2 3 years ago, and we talked about back in the day with websites, and when websites became something. If you didn't have a website, to a lot of people, you didn't exist. If they couldn't search and find Wes's building company, and they found Billy Bob's building company, even if Wes is way better, they're gonna they're gonna see the testimonials, they're gonna see the jobs, they're gonna see him walking around showing what he does. The assumption is this is who I want to go with. He's established, he's real. I don't even know who this Wes guy is, right? And I think that's where social media went. Is now for a large and I can say this because I'm a little more senior, shall we say, in age. Uh, if I don't find you on social media, you don't exist to a large degree to me, right? I go there to find out what you're all about. I go to LinkedIn immediately. I go see if you have a social media or Instagram because I want to see stuff you've done. I want to see what you're about. I want to get to know you. So, if to a large degree, if you're not there, you don't exist. And I think to a large extent, the AI is going to fall into that same category. If you don't make use of it, you're just not saying you won't be good. And I'm not saying you're going to fail, but you're going to have to try a whole lot harder to keep up with somebody that is the quality of what they may put out, the speed of which they may do it, the accuracy of which they may do it. It's just going to be hard to compete with that, right? And so I think it's what you touched on a minute ago, Wes, is we have to work, and it's something we all do from time to time, is quit putting my personal don't likes in the way of what my customers like and want. And that's why I was talking to Gerard. I do more and more TikTok stuff. I do some business stuff, uh, and I do some just quirky, weird, fun stuff because a it's fun. But again, I was telling we were talking to Gerard just a few minutes ago that if from a demographic standpoint, some of the people that are going to be my customer or a potential in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they're watching TikTok and they like that. They want to know if somebody's got a personality. They want to just know more about you. And so I don't want to wait until they become whatever they're doing at a business and now all of a sudden they're a 25 or 6 year old junior buyer. I want them to already know Randy, right?
Right.
I want them to know me not only as a professional and a guy that's been around for a long time and probably knows what he's talking about in the industry, but I'm also kind of fun. I can be, a bit of a goofball at times. And so I think the difference is if I wait until that guy's the 26-year-old or the gal's the 26-year-old junior buyer somewhere, I'm at that point, I've got a leg up, is all I'm saying. Is if they've already watched 640 TikToks and 900 reels and saw me on LinkedIn 12 times a day, right? They know me. They know what I do. They know what I'm about. Versus I just walk in, introduce myself, and they have no clue. They have no idea. You're not
Right.
starting from zero. That's my only point, right?
Yeah, no,
And
you're not starting from zero. And the other thing too is that you're able to kind of go out and, I mean, I guess so. Like as an example, let's say I didn't know you, and I
mm-hmm,
put your if I asked ChatGPT or whatever AI to go through and look at you and tell me what I need to know about you and what questions would be best to ask you. What's the best way to interview this person? What's the questions that I should start off with? If I were to send you a version of that that said something to the effect of, hey Randy, I know you do this, this, and this, and I'd really like to expand upon that stuff. Can you tell me, um, uh, can you tell me more about this, this, and this? They might go, damn, this
yeah,
guy, yeah, he didn't just look up my website and take a few things. He really dug deep when you find out that that's not the case. And the
right,
difference between what we're talking about and what someone would normally do is, something that, like you said, when if you were to have to go through with Gail and do your bibliography by hand, you might have been the whole afternoon doing it, but
right.
it took you minutes instead
Minutes,
of several hours. Well, it's gotten to the point now, Randy, and I would suggest that you and anybody else out there do this, and you'll get your mind blown. Take a picture of someone's, say, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram profile. Nothing
okay,
more. Just a screenshot of the screen. Okay. And then go into an AI. And the one that I would probably say is going to be best is going to be either probably Chat GPT, Claude, or Perplexity. That doesn't mean that the others won't do it, but these are ones that I've actually done it on. Say something to the effect of research this person's social profiles, articles, blogs, and websites, and come back with the key points I need to know about this person. And from one profile, it will find all the profiles,
hmm,
which is incredible. And it's something that if you were to go through and do it in your, rabbit hole, type, mentality, it might take you days to
Oh,
do it,
exactly.
because I can tell you what you're going to do. You're going to go and you're going to look at their Facebook, and then you're going to see, oh, so and so, is doing this, and you're going to get, next thing you know, you're going to be in 10,000 other rabbit holes, which is, with this, it's going to go through and give it to you all in one chunk. And then you can ask AI to then go through and formulate questions, formulate approaches, formulate a million things.
Yep.
What me, what's something that we have in common, and it might throw back something that tells you they're also a close-up magician. In my case, they
Hmm.
also like Batman.
Right.
They wear pink. They're pretty in pink, like me, of course. Whatever the case may
You
be.
are pretty in pink.
I know I am. Me and
I'm a
Molly
little,
Ringwald.
I'm amazingly uncomfortable saying that, but
Hey, you know
still.
what? I'm comfortable to wear pink, but the whole point is that it's going to find something like this that would have taken you a goofy amount of time.
Yes.
And that the beauty of being able to do that is now you have, if you're doing things the way you should, Randy, if you know now that something that was taking you, 3-4 hours a week, is now taking you 10 minutes. Well, now you've got, 12 hours a month, that you can put toward something else.
Right.
And so uh, Chester ends up going from being your AI friend to being a virtual assistant.
Right.
And by the
Right.
way, you're paying him a whole $20 a month,
Exactly.
which is insane.
It is. It is.
So I just, the things that are ahead of us, and the things that are right in our palm, right now. I mean, literally, are amazing. The only thing that I think is truly holding us back is technology. And what I mean by that, Randy, and I'm sure that some people have got internet in their cars, where they have it beamed down in the OnStar and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But when you're driving sometimes and you're talking to Chat GPT, if you're bouncing off cell tower to cell tower, sometimes the answers and the I'm having a hard time connecting, type stuff is really, cuckoo. But when it gets to the point where, you know, uh, technology supports the power of AI, where we all have, very, very great connections, and the computers on the AI side itself are, at the working condition that they want it to be, which is essentially like, data farms of backup computers and stuff. That's when things are going to get cuckoo.
Right.
Now, that it may get cuckoo to the point that it decides that we're not the ones that need to be around, and they are. Then it's time for Arnold, and
Yeah. Well, yeah. We keep Arnold in the background, but
yeah, that's right. But
one
for
thing I'll
right
say. Listen,
now, yeah,
go ahead.
it's pretty awesome.
It is. Well, one thing I'd say too, and I find from an old school kind of sales guy that's become a hybrid, right, is for any sales guys that, and we were talking to Gerard a while back about building relationships, and that's still, I find for me, Wes, I'm still a relationship guy. I still want to buy you pizza and pop at lunch. I still want to go get a burger and a beer in the evening. I still want to bro hug you and hug your wife when I see her and look at your little kid and rub his head, build that relationship. But so it doesn't, I don't want anybody to think that it's all going to be all digital, all technology, all virtual, and nobody ever bro hugs anybody anymore and sets and shake hands and sets in their office. We're just going to have and you kind of alluded to it a minute ago, another 12 hours, another 20 hours, another 30 hours a month to do those things. Because I think about it, guy, if I'm going on the road and travel, which I still do a fair amount, and I enjoy that. But if I allow a lot of the different technologies to work for me, um, I might be able to see 5 more customers a week, 10 more customers a week, and spend more quality time with them because if I let AI do something that I'm going to have to spend 3 hours doing, or I can let Chester do it in 13 minutes or less, well, 13 seconds in most cases, right? And maybe 13 times 3 because I ask it twice to, I don't, that's not good enough yet. Let's dig a little deeper. So in a minute and a half, it's going to do it might take me hours. That's just more hours that I can spend with I don't know, my friend Dominic in New York State, just to pick a name, right? And have a few beers with him and Darren and Mickey and the boys in the evening, right? And build those relationships. So it's like I say about anything, social media wise, virtual, anything. And I talk about again in the book is it's not an either or. Each is an augmentation of the other, right? And if you look at it that way, nowhere am I as an old school guy. I'm going to suggest that we become 100% digital, 100% virtual, 100% technologically based. And I never leave this little office here and I have my lights on and my mic, and this is all I do all day long. Even though many days I'll do it for hours, doing Zoom calls and team meets, these kind of things here. But I also hit the road. But if I'm hitting the road, you've been there with me. We've done live some shows, do walk and talk some shows, so you can mix in all of this technological stuff along with your being personal. The what we talked about earlier. People like to do who they know, like, trust, and feel safe with, as Ben Gay likes to say. You can still do all those things, but have more time to do them in a quality sense by letting Chester do this. Perfect example, mainly because I want to prove I can say bibliography, is that I didn't waste 3 hours trying to come up with that for Gail. I wasted about 2 minutes making sure that Chester knew what I was looking for, copying and pasting the different specs that I had used or statistics that I had quoted. That's it. That took me like 3 minutes. Go find me the sources that I use for this. Boom, done. I say like you said, save 3 hours. 3 hours that I can spend with the Dixie chick. 3 hours I can spend having a glass of Cabernet. 3 hours I can spend talking to you, talking to a customer friend, researching some other new customers, whatever the case may be. So in my mind, it's never going to substitute the relationship building, person to person stuff that we all want to do. It's just going to allow us to do it much better, much faster, and much more in depth. And what you said was I loved is I always use LinkedIn, for example. I think I've always said if you don't use LinkedIn and Google and you call on a customer cold call and you don't even know what they do, I'm sorry, you get what you deserve, which is probably not much, right? But um, but like you said, why not know exactly what they do, everything about their business, the fact their kid plays softball. I mean, there's such a to use what term you like, and I love, is myriad of things that not only what it does is it makes it a more interesting call, and it also shows that Wes cared enough about me to know something about me, right? Because anybody can go to a website today and get the basics. Oh, I guess you sell screws. Okay, well, I sell screws. You buy screws. I sell screws. Maybe we should do business. That's pretty lame today. I mean, that's elementary. That's elementary school stuff. You got to know what brands they use, how much business they do, what all the demographics of their customers. There's so many things you could find by just asking, right? In
You,
minutes.
you know what I do at night, Randy, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of this. And I pray every night that
Mm-hmm.
I get on a constant and never-ending journey of improvement. Okay, and by growing somewhere every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and never stopping that. So I'm going to give you an example of something that takes what we've been talking about and kind of makes one and one not equal one. It equals like five because of it. Okay. So you know something, or at least you think you do. You find out the information. Okay. And we've been talking about, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. All right. You've heard it, you've said it, you've repeated it, you've told other people, you've read it again, all that. But then something happens and you find out something about it. Okay. And you and I and my daughter sat in uh, California with the great Ben Gay the third and his wife Gigi, beautiful wife Gigi, and he leaned back and said, "Do you want to know where that come from?" And you and I go, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, you know, there used to be an envelope that went around, self-addressed stamp envelope that if were, the pitch man of that day, you might be the madman, advertiser. I'm going to come up with these sayings and I'm going to send them to Ben Gay and Dr. Earl Nightingale and all the big people of the day. Well, it just so happens that that was one of 15 that went out that week. People do business with people they know, like, and trust,
Yep.
and it wasn't come up with by Zig. Zig bought it,
Mhm.
but we would have never known that,
Right.
and
Right.
how many times have you been sitting around and somebody say, yeah, grandpa was the first person to ever whatever, and you're like, what? And you're like, I've never heard that, and they're like, oh yeah, him and his friends started that, and you're like, are you kidding me?
Hmm.
And you find something out about either someone that's alive or past, in the case of Zig, that you would have sworn for the Zig Ziglar come up with that. But
Right.
I don't know the gentleman that did, but I know that when he marked his name on the list as wanting that and put his $50 or whatever Ben told us it was back then into the thing, it got scratched off. And when it went to the next person, they might have been looking at whatever.
Right.
But the thing is that now Ben has shared that story with us on video. And now when AI goes out there and researches it, now it's going to add that part of the people that they know, like, trust, and feel safe with, because that's
Right.
what Ben throws into it, and where it come from.
Right.
But they would have never known that had somebody not talked to Ben about Zig, who knew Zig, and now it becomes the snowball that rolls down the
Right.
hill and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because now somebody will be like, oh yeah, 5 interviews down, they'll go, oh yeah, that gentleman's name was Steve Frickenfrack, and he come up with this, and now not only do you know his name, but you know all the other people he helped and the sayings that they, I mean,
Right.
it goes on and on and on and on, and I think that what I'm trying to get at is that constant and never ending, quest of knowing more. People always say they want all the answers. I don't want all the answers. I'd like to know all the questions.
Right. There you go.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's me. I look at stuff and I want to know more about it. So I think that that's where AI is going to have its kind of like ultimate kudos, is the stuff that it uncovers that's real, because you still have to fact check, you still have to
Hmm.
go through and make sure that they're not calling you Ronald instead of Randy, or
Right.
I'm sure that it messes up Chafee, because if
Hmm.
it does anything to I say Wyatt, it comes up with everything other than Wyatt. It's White,
Yes.
Want, you name
Yep.
it. So there's certain things that you have to check, but the fact of the matter is that somewhere there's a supercomputer that's compiling all this stuff. And truth be known, I mean, Randy, it's probably doing it right now off of us talking. I mean,
Yep.
our phones listen to us.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, how many times have you
Absolutely.
talked about something and then
Yeah.
it pops up on your screen? So, I mean, I believe there's probably an AI at work right now,
Probably.
listening to us, putting this stuff together.
Yep.
So nothing is got an anonymity to it ever again. So, and the beauty of it is that even though we don't have that, it's creating a reality for us that at some point it's going to be all knowing. I mean, it's going to be that and I'm a very religious person, and I don't want to sound like I'm being blasphemous in any way, shape, or form, but AI at some point is going to be, as all knowing as the people that have provided the information to it, which
Hmm.
is pretty all knowing,
That's pretty all knowing.
in
Yep.
the grand scheme of things, because, for every Wes Wyatt using ChatGPT. There's also you know Neil Tyson that's also using it.
Right.
So and that I guarantee he's a lot smarter than I am.
Yep. It is. It's amazing stuff, and we'll just keep doing it. We would, I guess, what we're saying is we would suggest to folks if you're using it, keep using it, learn it, spend time with it. If you're not, it's not time to. You're already past time to, but don't wait too much longer. Let's go. Right.
Well,
You, you,
and I'll tell you the funniest thing about it, Randy, and that is we've been talking about this now for 50 minutes and 55 minutes to be honest. And the thing is we could sit here and jaw about it for another 2 more hours and not even scratch the
oh
beginning of it.
no,
I
no.
mean, and
Yep.
that's why it's exciting because we talk about stuff all the time, but the one thing that we always kind of come back to is that we're doing what we love.
Yep.
And Randy, when I'm down here and I'm looking into this stuff, I can literally, look up at the clock and be like, it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, and I
Right.
feel like I literally just poured my first cup of coffee. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly.
and that's when you're doing something right.
Exactly.
Because I've done plenty of jobs where I looked at the clock and I swear to God it went backward. Uh,
And those are good days right there.
you
Those are
know
good days.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's got to be at least lunchtime. You're
Right.
like, how's it 10 minutes before I
Yep.
looked the first time? But
Exactly.
that's when you're not doing something that you love.
Exactly.
But I love this stuff. I love the relationships that we've been able to make over the last 4+ years, and I just love the future that's coming with not only the people and the industries that we deal with, but the technology that's going to support all the stuff around it.
Exactly. Well said. And so, in closing, so we can get out of here, your book is going to be titled what that you're working
Market
on?
You First will be the first one that I
Yep.
do. How about you?
My Journey to Hybrid.
And the one that we will be doing together beside Building Wins will be The Closers, and it will probably be volume 7.
Yep. And we're
So
going
exciting
to,
stuff coming.
exciting stuff. And exciting. You and I get to work together on that, and we get to work with the legend himself, Ben Gay III. Doesn't get any better.
And I gotta tell you guys, whether you're using AI, following Randy and I, all that stuff is great. But Randy just said something that I have to say, and that is, if you guys don't know Ben, follow Ben. Read
Absolutely.
the closers. Follow him and his beautiful wife Gigi because you're gonna just you're gonna strike the well, at the deepest level.
Exactly. Well said. All right, brother. Let's get out of here. I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. Great chatting, man. It was a great chat. I knew we'd wander off in some direction, and as we usually do. And
We did, and other than what we always talk about, I hope you have a dynamite day, and I hope everybody out there is having an absolutely dynamite day, and filling it full of wins.
exactly. So let's just get out of here and go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow.
That's it. Cheers, brother.
Bye bye, guys.